Since his debut movie Withnail and I, our final guest is one of Britain's most successful actors, going on to star in hit films including Gosford Park and The Age of Innocence. Later this year, he will be appearing alongside Meryl Streep in the Thatcher biopic The Iron Lady. But for now, we can enjoy him in the new period drama The Crimson Petal and the White. Please welcome Richard E. Grant. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I have to say, that was the cleanest bit we could find. It's a bit saucy.
It's all prostitutes.
And all that. Is it true your character wears his corset on the outside?
Yeah, the female costume designers thought that he was such a kinky doctor that he would wear a corset on the outside. And I didn't ask anything more, I just agreed, because I know that if a woman says that's what you should wear, I fall out.
In episode 1, when it wasn't about brothels, you were in the leading lady's bedroom, and what was going on was so obviously erotic, it kind of framed out of shot. You did a very strange examination.
Yes, it's like now.
We're all keeping our legs together.
Speak for yourself.
Richard, do you want to explain to people exactly what your part is, in case they haven't
I played
seen the role?
the main character's wife has some kind of consumption, and she can't get out of bed, and the doctor just thinks that she's hysterical.
Okay.
And because he's, a 19th century doctor, thinks that all women are just invent stuff. So he has to do a daily or a weekly, put the gloves on and feel up. So, so it's one of those. And I got paid.
Yes. Did you do a lot of research?
I did, yes, I did. I'm doing it now.
It's an amazing programme, how it explores the Victorian attitude to sexuality, isn't it? I think it's one of the most truthful programmes I've ever seen about that.
Good. I agree with you.
But for the BBC, I mean, we're so used to costume drama being rather deodorised and rather sanitised and very chocolate boxy, and then along comes this drama series which is all set in brothels, and it hinges around a prostitute and her relationship with her clients and how, the hypocrisy of the era. I mean, what was it like?
Is it like a modern day, or an olden day rather, a Victorian Pretty Woman?
It is exactly that.
Is it?
Yeah. Except that Pretty Woman said that you always end up with Richard Gere at the end, which we all know is bollocks.
Hello?
Sorry.
Say that.
Sorry, we do have to apologise.
Testicles.
It is lunchtime.
Rubbish would be a good word.
Sorry.
What would you say that it... I mean, Janet touched on the fact that it shows a different side to Victorian society. What would you say that it teaches us about women? Because you said your doctor sees all women as hysterical. What would you say that it teaches about Victorian women?
Well, I think that there was... What Janet was saying is that there is a double standard, that you were supposed to... that women were supposed to be all these perfect, non-sexual beings, but then, of course, a man may be married to that kind of woman, but then going off, on the slide.
The Madonna whore thing. You have your lovely wife at home.
Yeah,
and...
so I think it rips the sort of hypocrisy of that open.
Are you enjoying the fact that, I mean, obviously, Withnail and I was 100 years ago, but that must be the film that everybody stops you and says, love that film.
They do, and I'm still grateful that I have enough hair and teeth that I can be recognised.
Well, the amazing thing about that, when I was reading about you, is that you don't drink at all.
I don't know.
And yet you played the best drunk I've ever seen in my life.
Well, thank you.
You did.
And you know, do you?
Well, I do. I got some experience, yes.
But they made you drink, didn't they?
They did. On the last night before the last day of rehearsals, the director said, you have to be drunk. And I said, look, my father was an alcoholic and I understand all this stuff of what it looks like. He said, no, you have to get absolutely legless yourself. So I did, but it took me a whole night and sort of half a bottle of champagne, and then I got very drunk and very vomity as well.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So
It's good,
Never
really,
stop,
to be
Carol.
vomity,
Can we let's have a little look at you in action. Here we go.
Have we got any more? Liar. What's in your toolbox?
We have nothing. Sit down.
Liar. You've got antifreeze.
Bloody fool. You should never mix your drinks.
Never watched.
So you've never actually watched that film because you were looking away then, you don't like watching yourself?
Yeah, no, I watched the rough cut for the first time in 1985 or 86 when we made it, and I was sitting with my wife and I drew blood on her wrist because I thought that I was so terrible in it that I'd never work again.
Oh,
so I just
Richard.
decided never to watch any stuff.
Oh, wow.
Do you watch this?
No.
Well, there you go.
It must be quite a jump to play this crazy doctor in the Victorian series, and at the same time you're playing Michael Heseltine.
Exactly.
I have, yeah.
Have you dyed your hair blonde?
It was dyed blonde, which is why it's this sort of Ronald Reagan
Yeah, it needs a bit
sort
of
of weird
I think
colour
you need
now.
a bit of conditioner on that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and you would know.
I Michael Heseltine because I
dyed
met him a
blonde.
few times. I worked for him years ago for his publishing house, and I
what
met
was
him
he
at
like?
Christmas. Very imperious.
Was he?
Very imperious and very arrogant. And then I met him again at a party at Christmas, and he was exactly the same, even though obviously he's much older now.
Did you meet him in person as part of your research, or how did you research it?
I read his autobiography, and then I read Mrs. Thatcher's autobiography as well, so that you get the two viewpoints of the same events, which was really useful. And then I watched endless stuff of him on YouTube.
Okay.
And,
What about your eye? Did they give you eyebrows?
falsies.
Yes.
Yes, false eyebrows.
Marvellous. How marvellous.
Dyed my hair blonde and false eyebrows, and they gave me, you know, those power suits from the 1980s with
Yeah.
big shoulders and stuff.
Wonderful.
And how's it working with Meryl Streep?
She is the best of the best of the best, as you would imagine. She knew everybody's name. She had no entourage.
Were you nervous? Were you
Yeah, we were really
apprehensive?
nervous because, I mean, she was also nervous because on the first day she came in, there were 30 people playing cabinet ministers and members of parliament, all men. And then she came in with the female director, Phyllida Lloyd, so the only two women who came in. And you got a feeling of what it must have been like for all these men to suddenly have a woman who's more powerful than anybody else. And of course she is, with 16 Oscar nominations, everything. But she knew everybody's name, and we all called her behind her back, which I told her on the last day. We called her Cheryl or Beryl.
Why?
Well, because it's much easier to say who you're working with, Beryl Streep, because somehow it's such a legend when you work with her that. But she was the best of the best.
Was she a queen bee, would you say? And how are you at being
She
around
didn't need
queen
to be. She did
bees?
this amazing thing where she would, if she didn't think that something was going right, she'd just quietly go and say, and then it would just change. She never had to shout or raise her voice or anything. And so it was very effective.
Very quickly, you've mentioned your wife quite often. Do you think you'd let her rebrand you? Not that you need it, you know, you're a very well-turned-out man, but would
It's
you let
because
her?
of her. She bought this.
do you mind that, or are you
No,
happy
I'm
to
very
go with the
grateful.
flow?
I'm very, very grateful.
She's a gorgeous lady, isn't she?
Oh, thank you.
You're a very attractive lady. What are we going to see you in next? Because obviously you're playing this rather rampant, crazy doctor at the moment. What have you got coming up next? Silence.
I have no idea.
The Iron Lady.
Iron Lady, yeah. Iron Lady,
Iron
yeah.
Lady. Do you
That's
know,
enough.
it's been
We don't have to
lovely
be
to have
greedy,
you.
do we, you know?
It's been lovely to have you on the show, Richard.
Thank you for having me on the show.
First time ever. Richard E. Grant, everyone.